You want to see a magic trick? Of course you do. Alright, ready? 3, 2, 1. Boom. Physical keyboard. This is the Blackberry Priv, and I'm going to show you what this phone has to offer. And well, I guess this isn't the only smartphone with a keyboard on it now, because Blackberry has made sequels to this phone. This is the only one to have a slide-out keyboard. And it's weird to me that with such an interesting design that I think is so intelligently done, that the sequel to this phone, which is the Key 1, removed that feature entirely, and now the screen is like half the size and the physical keyboard is just there on the phone like that, and that looks so, well, I guess classic Blackberry to me, but I was never really a fan of that design. And I guess I just don't see that being a super marketable thing, but they do have their own kind of a fan base, but I feel like this phone is really onto something. And if they did some things a little bit better in a second or third iteration of this phone, I feel like that could have changed the smartphone industry. But without further ado, let me get into the Blackberry Priv and its physical keyboard. So a lot of things about this phone, I'm just going to be straight out honest about it. I don't think you guys are going to care. It's like 3 years old, and a lot of hardware and software stuff, it's just average or mediocre or typical of that time. Nothing really particularly, I think, is that interesting or stand out about this phone, except for the physical keyboard and the fact that it kind of has an edgeless display. So there are some aesthetic details to this phone that are extremely modern and forward-thinking. But the camera is pretty garbage, even though it is 18 megapixels on the back and the front is 2 megapixels. Way to make it feel like 2002 again, Blackberry. So yeah, we're not really going to get into that. It's a waste of your time. We're just going to talk about the keyboard, because I think it has so much to offer the smartphone industry. So we're all familiar with the touchscreen keyboard, which has come a lot of way. I think the software over years of updates has gotten really good at compensating for the lack of a physical keyboard. You know, you can't really touch it or feel it. It's all just a screen, and you have to kind of estimate where your thumbs go, etc., etc. It's a little bit awkward, but they've been a part of our lives for quite some time now, and for the most part, people don't really complain. And you have voice to text now, and I don't know, maybe big picture doesn't really matter, but ever since the days of the physical full keyboard, I have missed it, and I always thought I would just prefer to have a physical one, so I had to check out the first phone to do it in a long time. And there are things that I absolutely adore about this phone, and there are also some things that I feel like could have been done better. So typing on this phone is crazy fast and very accurate. I hardly find myself making typos. And if I do, the software is very intelligent about correcting it. One of the things that's really smart about this keyboard is you can actually swipe up when a word appears here and it will finish the word for you. That's because they've implemented touch features into this physical keyboard. So you can do some pretty interesting things, and I think the most interesting thing you can do, although it's kind of simple but it's really awesome, is that you can just scroll with this keyboard. You can open this thing up and just scroll. You don't even have to touch the screen. I think that's really neat. And the other thing too is that you can actually use this keyboard as a swipe keyboard. It's a feature you can select, and I think just being able to physically feel these keys, it makes that swipe feature a little bit nicer. But I personally don't use it, but it's cool to have that as an option. So that's pretty much what the physical keyboard offers for this phone, but let's talk about some of the drawbacks. Now, talking about the drawbacks, the thing is that you don't ever have to use the physical keyboard. You can just use this phone as if it never had one in the first place. If anything, I think having a physical keyboard in addition to the smartphone, I think is already a really great thing. So having a physical keyboard is already such a cool feature, but I think that there are certain things about this phone that could have been done better regarding the keyboard, and it's really just two things. I think one would be to have some custom keys, like just some blank assignable keys that you decide will have whatever function, or maybe it'll be assigned exclusively to a question mark or something like that. I'm not sure, but sometimes it felt a little bit tedious to always have to press shift this or alt that, and it would be nice to have some customizability on the keys, because it is a physical keyboard. You can't just add or take away buttons like you can on some touchscreen keyboards. It would be nice to have some keys that you can customize yourself. I just can't imagine having that would hurt the experience. And my other question is, would this keyboard be better if it came out from the side of the phone as opposed to the bottom? Because if it did, the keys could be a little bit bigger and everything could be spaced out a little bit more. I think if it did, the whole process of typing would be that much easier. And I feel like the only drawback would be that you have to turn your phone sideways to use the physical keyboard. But if you really don't want to, you always have the touchscreen keyboard, right? And I also wonder if BlackBerry decided to do that Would it have hurt the sales or would it have improved the sales? I don't know, because I think the biggest thing holding this phone back from being more popular is the fact that it's a Blackberry. Just the fact that they were under the radar for so long. I think a lot of people just literally didn't even know that they're making phones. I think that is the biggest reason that this phone didn't get the feedback that it could have otherwise. But for the feedback that the Priv did get, I wonder if it could have been better. And it's hard to say because this is the only phone to do this, and their updates to this phone took this sliding feature away. And it's possible that Blackberry decided that the orientation of this keyboard is just more true to the name Blackberry, but maybe they just thought it was more practical too. I don't know, and I just hope that they didn't get feedback from this phone or think that the whole slide out feature in the first place was holding it back. I think that having a slide out physical keyboard is brilliant. No other phone offers that, and they've put this keyboard on this phone so seamlessly. You would never hold this phone and know or think that it's thicker than it should be. If you measure it up against some other phones, you're only going to see a 1 to 2 millimeter difference, and that is not noticeable. It's a very sleek and modern looking phone, and I'm pretty disappointed to see Blackberry take away the sliding feature and then go this route with the Key 1. I mean, is that what the people want? I'm not asking rhetorically, I'm asking genuinely. That's part of the reason of this video. I am asking you guys. Does a physical keyboard matter? Is that something you would like to have on your phone? And, you know, if your answer is yes, how would you like it on your phone? Would you prefer it to be a slide-out keyboard or a fixed one like on the Key 1? So please let me know what you think in the comments. Also, I really want to give it up to Blackberry for having the balls to put this on a phone, because I don't think that's an easy task to do. And the other thing is that no other smartphone companies are doing it. I've been pretty frustrated to think that there's so many other ridiculous and silly gimmicks coming out on other phones. And gosh, some of them are just so ridiculous. It's like, why haven't they tried this before trying that? And the only company to do it is Blackberry. And, you know, when you look at the sales, maybe things don't look so good. You gotta wonder, is it because of the keyboard? Well, I don't think so. I think it's because it's Blackberry. So, is this phone a good example of what a smartphone in this day and age can be with a physical keyboard? Yes. Yes, it is. But it is the first and only one of its kind. And I feel like if a smartphone company were to do this, there's a way to do it even better. So I really hope that phone companies don't just look at this and think, it's never going to work, because they've tried a lot of stupid things, in my opinion, in the past that were just obviously terrible ideas on paper. Yeah, anyway, that's how I feel about it. So thank you, Blackberry, for doing this. I've wanted to see it for a long time, and yeah, I would just like to hear from you guys. What do you think? Would you like to see a physical keyboard on a modern smartphone, and how would you like to see it done? Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.